Hello, everybody.
Hello,
This is
everyone.
this is going to be our first podcast for the Phenomenonormal podcast. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about aliens. Should anyone miss this podcast, I will also be uploading this to Twitch and YouTube at a later date, so that way you can catch all the highlights of this. My name is Josh, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name's Def, also known as Aaron. Uh, I do gaming content, and I like talking about UFOs and alien conspiracies and things of that nature. So this should be a good one.
So, a little bit of background between me and Aaron here. We met through Xbox by playing video games. We've known each other for probably well over 15, maybe even 20 years.
Yeah, a long time, definitely.
So, when I came up with the idea for this podcast, I wanted to bring Aaron on board with this podcast as it's something that we tend to talk about a lot when we're playing video games. Just the paranormal, the phenomenons that happen in this world. So I just kind of, first thought of a co-host or someone to bring on the show was Aaron.
And I'm glad to be here. It's going to be an amazing night. Many talks, many subjects, and we'll be sharing our thoughts and things. And feel free to join in.
Another thing I want to add is every hour or so we'll be taking 10-minute breaks where I will just be playing some royalty-free music for you all while we kind of recharge ourselves. Um, Along with that, I guess we can go ahead and get started on this. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of controversy, especially on the topic of aliens and UFOs, especially in today's sense of the world.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So, what are your thoughts on, like, all this buzz in media about UFOs and aliens coming out?
Well, it's an interesting thing. People have been talking about UFOs for a long time, and government, obviously, being the government, looks out for its own interests and keeps things secret sometimes, and doesn't want to incite panic. So maybe they're trying to cover up some of them. But it's so weird that now suddenly they choose to release all these reports to us all because people keep asking, and it's only just now they're divulging something to us.
Right.
So with that, it's kind of one of those phenomenon where it's like you kept this secret for so long. Now you're giving us stuff. Is this really the true stuff that happened, or are you just giving us bits and pieces of information that you've chose to give?
Right. So, have you had any experiences with any kind of like aliens or UFOs or seen anything like that?
I'm not too sure, honestly. I don't think I've really seen anything I can say is concrete per se. I've seen a few objects in the sky at night. Bit strange, the way they move. Not saying it's UFOs or anything, but could be an aircraft that we just not seen. Could be experimental.
Right.
And maybe the night sky was just obscuring the object too well because it blended in with the darkness. But it was rather strange.
Yeah, so I grew up with a military family. I got a military background myself, but I mean, even through that, a lot of people tend to say it's military aircraft or test aircraft. I mean, my father was in the Air Force, and like I never really saw anything on any of the Air Force bases. Um, so I'm one of those skeptics. I don't know if they're real, they're fake, what. I mean, we can't be alone in the universe.
Oh, absolutely.
But the odds of another civilization finding our blue dot here in the universe just sounds so outlandish. Like, I mean, we've if you took like the universe at large, we've got like a grain of salt on the beach, or a grain of sand on the beach. Excuse me. As far as how much we've explored.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And we found no evidence of life other than bacteria and microorganisms on planets and the moon and things like that. So, to say something's been here, maybe, I mean, who knows, millions of years ago, maybe something stumbled across our planet, but, that's something that I find very hard to believe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the odds of it are crazy, given what we know, the knowledge we do have. We've not been able to detect anything yet. Somehow we're seeing things that are here, apparently, that are just would be so much more advanced to even be able to quantify that we've not been able to find them. They've managed to find us and reach us. The chances of that are incredibly slim in such a wide universe, but what if it is happening? There's always that question in the back of your mind, what if they have? What if they are here?
Right. And then, there's been topics that have been brought up saying that, the reason why they've been abducting people, especially during, like, the 50s, all the way up until, like, the 80s, 90s of abductions, and, the reasons why they were abducting was to create half-breeds.
Right.
And these half-breeds were to, kind of, I guess, integrate with us here on the planet. I find that kind of outlandish as well, for the simple fact of why. If you're so advanced, why do you want to integrate with us? Why stoop down to our level when you're already on the top or echelon level?
Exactly, because we could never do what any of these creatures are doing with their technologies. How advanced they must be. Why would they go with a more primitive life form? It just seems outlandish. Like, what are they trying to create? Are they taking bits of every race that they come across? Are they trying to make some superior being and wondering whether our genetics may have some impacts there? Like, what would be the purpose for them?
The only reason I would say that they would possibly do that is maybe there's something on our planet that's toxic to them. That's a thing that's kind of looked over by these UFO communities is, and these people who will say, "Oh, I got abducted." Our viruses and bacteria could be completely different than anything out there in the universe, and these aliens could be just as susceptible to it as we are. But the thing is, we've lived with these microorganisms for thousands and thousands of years, and they haven't, as far as we know. And maybe they're creating this half breed to kind of compensate for that. That's the only thing I could think of maybe for that.
Adaptation.
Right.
So that would also indicate a high level of intelligence to think to do something like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say these guys would be highly intelligent anyways if they were able to make it here. I mean,
absolutely.
We can't even get to Mars yet, at least not, manned. So if they're able to make it, thousands of light years away to Earth, then they got to be intelligent.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary to think that they are abducting people. I mean, why haven't they introduced themselves? Or have they already? That's another thing we could consider. If they have introduced themselves, how do we know none of our governments are possibly speaking with any?
Right. I mean, the ones living amongst us that they say, I think of, like, there's these stories of the lizard people that live underground. There's, the grays, the greens, the big uglies, there's all these different things that have come out, of all these different species. There's these people saying that there's this intergalactic community and they're trying to incorporate Earth into it, and I'm just like, why when we're not even unified ourselves?
Right. It'd be like fighting a losing battle, because one thing we've always done is gone to war with each other. Unfortunately, as sad as it is.
I mean, we consider ourselves...
Time and time again.
Yeah, we consider ourselves like these modern, civilized people in this world, but I mean, you gotta think on an intergalactic scale. If something was to come here, we're still primitive.
Yeah.
We're very primitive. We're still fighting with sticks essentially. That's all a gun is. It's a stick that shoots a projectile.
Yeah.
So,
what could we possibly offer them as benefit?
what was that?
What could we offer them as benefit? Like, why would they want us there? What could we possibly give them?
I don't think necessarily. So I just think of a couple reasons as to why they might come here. Maybe resources. As far as what we know in science and stuff, as far as resources, I'm not some geologist. I'm not an astrophysicist or nothing like that. But what we know is that the elements that we know of are everywhere in the galaxy, and they may be coming here for resources because we are a very resource-rich planet. And also, compared to anyone else or any other beings out there, we are primitive, so we're a labor force.
Essentially, yeah.
So I mean, you look at human history. I mean, we don't know much about these aliens or UFOs or anything like that, but what we do know is human nature, human history, and what have the more powerful always done in the world. Say when like England, France, Spain, discovered the Americas, they captured, they enslaved, they used the indigenous population to provide for them, and if there were aliens here, why wouldn't they do the same to us?
Right.
I don't understand why they wouldn't. I mean, maybe it's just not in their nature. Maybe they are just a peaceful race. That would be a best case scenario, and I think that's the one that everybody hopes for.
Yeah.
But it tends to be these UFO spikes and everything happen too, especially around like conflict zones. There's many reports in Afghanistan when that was all going on. There was a lot. I mean, obviously, the majority of the UFO sightings came about during the Cold War. I think a lot of those can be probably debunked to military testing in aircraft. Just because things were getting developed during that time between the jet engines and different shapes and sizes of these aircraft. I mean, you look at the SR-71 Blackbird and it looks nothing like an airplane. That looks like a spaceship.
Yeah. That seems to have disappeared as well.
Right. And that thing went, at the just astronomical speeds. Let me try and see. Yeah, I mean, that thing... Yeah, let me look this up real quick.
Yeah.
I don't even think there is an official speed for it, honestly.
It's like faster than the speed of sound or something.
Oh, way faster. 2,200 miles per hour, according to PBS.org. That's
insane compared to what we can manage.
Yeah, they say it could go faster, but the aircraft frame just could not handle the speed. That's insane. And that is, if not the fastest, and one of the fastest aircraft on our planet.
Yeah.
And they're trying to say these UFOs are going faster than that. So I mean,
right?
That's insane. Like, I mean, how can we compete against something like that?
Yeah. And also, you get a lot of these UFOs. You tend to hover around capital cities. Like, if you take the UK, there's been more sightings around London than any other place in the UK. So there seem to be a high concentration around some places where people are in power for a country or state. Almost as if they could be having some kind of influence for all we know.
So are they hanging out like near like the parliament out there? Is what you're trying to say?
I ain't got the exact specifics for all of them, but apparently there's been around 127 in London.
Interesting. See,
Whereas,
it's very curious because like UFO sightings over DC, I don't think there's been as many.
right,
As far as like the United States goes, like most of ours
yeah,
happen out west. You know, out west in like Arizona, New Mexico, California, Washington, along those areas.
yeah,
Um, you know, there's some people out there that will say like these UFOs are also connected to like the Bigfoot sightings. Um, that's a whole different topic that we can get into at a later day.
yeah.
Different podcasts for that, um, but yeah, it's just nuts. Like, I mean, look, I typed in Google here how many UFO sightings over Washington D.C. and the first thing that comes up is 1952. You know,
Right.
you know, there's not much like the year 1952, not 1,952 sightings.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify for the podcast here, but I mean, there's not
Yeah.
many over Washington D.C. So if they're flying that, if there's that many sightings over London, then why not like other capitals? You know, why London specifically? So I think we should be able to we should look into that
Well,
more. You know,
consider the size of us and then take the size of the United States, though, for example. See, if they were to be sighted here, there's less threat to them than if they were to go to the States where there's so many militaries all stationed throughout. You got a much larger military and maybe caution to the wind with that being like staying away from somewhere they could potentially run into issues.
has there been any run-ins with the military, like the British military, in these UFOs that you know of?
Uh, Not that I know of.
Because the only reason I'm asking is because like the president here in the United States was saying that we shot down a couple of UFOs. I know one of them was that supposed Chinese spy balloon.
Right.
But there was one over Alaska that was shot down, and the Alaskan government can't find it. They've looked and looked and looked, and they cannot find it. I mean, Alaska is massive.
Right.
Alaska
Yeah.
is massive, so I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. That's a lot of area to check and see, but
Yeah.
I mean, if this thing was a UFO, right, and it posed a threat to national security, why then did you not have aircraft around this thing, watching it at all times while they went and picked up the wreckage?
Right.
You know, it's like, why'd you just shoot it down and leave? You know, that to me makes no sense.
No.
They did
it
that.
doesn't.
They did that for the balloon out over the Atlantic when we shot it down. We picked it up. We got it,
Yeah.
but we won't do it for the unidentified one. You know, we didn't know if it was a balloon or a drone or what, but we didn't pick that up over in Alaska. That thing's still out there in the wilderness somewhere. Or maybe if it's an alien craft and it's advanced enough, maybe it just you know, fixed itself
Took
or
off.
took off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Karen B31. Have you ever seen the movie The Fourth Kind? Was based off a true story in Alaska and has some actual footage in the movie. Have you ever seen that movie, Aaron?
No, I don't believe I have, but I'd be interested in checking it out and giving it a watch, and I'll let people know what I think next time.
Yeah, so I've seen that movie and it is very freaky. It's not meant to be like a horror film. It's based off a true event. So
Right.
the fourth kind, right?
Yeah.
So this is about the movie here. I'm trying to get more into what actually happened for it. So it's been a minute since I've seen this movie, but I do know it was like about aliens in Alaska. And there's like abductions going on out there. There was police footage of these like bright lights and the abduction. Let me see if I can't find this. Maybe I can put this on the actual page here.
Right, okay. So you then got to ask the question, if we are abducted, what happens to us after we're abducted? What do they do with us?
Okay. I'm gonna try and see if I can't get this on the stream here.
Right.
Okay, I think I got it on here. Let me just make sure it pops up before. Yeah, okay. So this area here says real police car dash cam footage featured in the movie The Fourth Kind. Right. So this is the real footage supposedly. Right. I'm gonna play it for you.
Right.
Go ahead and mute myself here.
Yep.
There's something. Oh my God. There's something. You're a flying machine. Over the tower. Residents. It's pulling the house. It's taking me.
I don't hear anything.
You gotta get somebody down.
Oh yeah, I see it. Hey, look.
You gotta send backup now.
I hear it.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh God.
So, all right. So that right there is. Let me fix my audio here. Alright, so yeah, that right there was from the Fourth Kind movie, but supposedly that was the real dash cam footage of an alien abduction. Now,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, so as you can see, the videotape got completely scrambled, almost like there's like an EMP or something that happened.
Right.
And you can hear the distress in that officer's voice. That was the police officer that was speaking in that video.
Yeah.
And he is saying like, "Oh my God," you know, like he's freaking out. He does not know what is going on. You know, there was multiple police reports to come out to this residence because there was just a lot of, you know, alien paranormal type activity happening. And the cops just kept putting it off, and then they finally showed up, and they were just like, "This happened right here. It was caught on tape." It's crazy, you know, and I think this is like one of the most, you know, proven evidences that we have as far as like an alien abduction or aliens being real. I mean, we don't have any technology like that here on Earth.
No.
Yeah, we can't have some hidden spacecraft do all those lights or, you know, scramble a camera like that. I've never seen any technology like that we have. I mean, I know we have EMPs, but not to that extent. It would just shut it off completely.
Yeah. Play that again for us. I want to rewatch that.
Okay. Yeah.
Pay close attention to it.
Okay.
Because let's see how badly the
Okay.
scrambled it.
Okay.
Because
So I'm gonna start back here at the very beginning here. All right.
yeah.
All right. So let's play this. So as you can see right there, so Deputy Ryan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is an alias, but look how scrambled that feed is right there.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Alright,
Yeah.
let's continue this. I'm going to pause it to the video here, and we're going to do some talking about this.
Right, yeah.
There's something.
So he says there's something, right?
Yeah.
There is something, right? He can't describe what this is.
No.
So, I really, these things are intelligent. Look, they know there's a camera, or they know that, we use electricity in our everyday lives or something. They have to know because they're scrambling our stuff.
Exactly.
So I mean, it just goes to show you like how outclassed we are here on Earth, and how screwed we are if these things decide, you know what, we don't need you.
Yeah, they just shut down our technology. We wouldn't be able to use it. The DMPs like this or whatever it is that they're doing, dampening our feeds, whatnot. We don't know what else they could possibly do. They could do stuff like that. Goodness knows what they could do to, say, some of our best electrical weapons that we may possess.
I mean, literally all of our modern military equipment uses electricity. Beyond our guns themselves, like our tanks, our planes, our ships, all of it uses electricity.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we would have to go back to using broadside cannons on galleons,
Right. It's unfathomable about what powers they could truly have. We haven't seen their weaponry yet. Goodness knows what that could do.
I mean, Independence Day when they blew up the White House in the movie, they could have stuff like that, giant death beam.
Yeah, just obliterate anything they choose. I mean, the military does have grenades, which, not grenades, nukes that can actually destroy things on a subatomic level.
Right. So let's continue this video here.
Yeah.
Oh my God! There's something. You're a flying machine.
Okay, so he says there's something. I think I had the audio muted. My apologies, but you can see the subtitles now. He says there's something flying over the Tyler. I think he meant like the Tyler residence.
Right.
And he's saying, "Oh my God!" Like he is not praying necessarily, but he's like pleading to God, like, "What is this?" It's crazy, and he says there's something flying, sir. So he was able to see this craft.
Yeah.
I want to. So let me go back real quick. What was his name? Deputy. Deputy Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, Deputy Ryan.
So I want to see if his testimony, I want to see his police report on this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the video is so scrambled. You can't really see much until the end of the video, and I don't know if it's just online for his police report. I'll look that up here after we get done watching the video again.
Yeah.
But I'll take a look. If not, then I mean I might have to request these records because I would like to see what he said.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that at a later date because that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
See, and the caption for this video up here, as you can see, it says alien abduction fourth kind, police dash cam footage, and at the very beginning of this video here, it tells you the real police car dash cam footage featured in the movie of the fourth kind. So they put the real footage in the movie. This isn't Hollywood. Alright? This is not a Hollywood capture that was put into this movie right here. This is the real patrolled car dash cam footage. Karen B says there are ancient drawings carved into caves and pyramids that depict people looking up at the sky in some sort of craft. Perhaps they have been visiting Earth since the ancient times or before. And yes, I do want to highlight that, and that will be our next podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back, even to the Romans too, a little bit past the ancient times. In the Roman era, they were talking about flying shields in the sky.
Right. Exactly.
So, okay, I'm gonna play this video one more time. All right.
Yeah.
I keep saying we're gonna play through this, and I want to pause, but let's get through this, and then we can talk about this video here.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and turn on the desktop audio.
Yep.
So this is back in 2000.
Yeah.
There's something. Oh my God. There's something. You're a flying machine. Over the Tyler residence.
Yeah, over to Tyler residence. It's pulling them out of the house.
Yeah.
So he said it's pulling them out of the house.
Yeah.
Dude, that is crazy.
That is wild, yeah.
So my question is it like pulling them through the roof, or is it like phasing them through?
Right, exactly. Like, how...
Yeah. Okay, so like you can kind of see like the house right here, where my mouse is on
Yeah.
here. I don't know what this is over here. Big thing of light,
Yeah.
But you can just see like throughout this here.
Exactly.
I'm trying to see it slow-mo, like frame by frame here, if we could see anything. This almost looks like, I don't know what this line down the middle is, just scrambling, I guess, but I want to see if we see anything, like, on the ground level.
Mm.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Alright, let's play this. It's taking them.
Yeah.
You better send somebody down here now, please. Now he's pleading with his dispatch.
Yeah.
If the video is doing... Okay, so this is a good image of the house right here. We can see the house.
Yeah.
So this is October 5th of 2000 in Alaska.
Yeah.
So he is pleading with dispatch, and if the video is doing this, is this transmission even getting through the dispatch? Because you don't hear anything back from dispatch.
Oh no, nothing at all.
So I'm gonna say no. His communications are jammed.
Oh, definitely.
Unit
Because
CO3.
Somebody surely would have responded to something like that.
I do remember that from the movie. 3:33, right? That was the time. 3:33 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
The woman, in the Tyler residence there, Miss Tyler there, she was waking up every single night at like 3:33.
Right.
And supposedly she was getting abducted in the movie every single time at that time. Like, there was some significance to this. Now, hold on here. I want to see the beginning of this again and see what the time says. Okay, so as you can see right here, 3:33 on the dot.
Yeah.
Right? And then you fast forward up here, right? And the first time that you get to see the house...
Yeah.
First time you get to see the house, 3:33 and 33 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, 33 seconds. So, all threes across the board.
Yeah.
There's got to be some significance to that.
Oh, definitely.
In the movie, this was the home of the psychologist, and her daughter went missing after the incident. The police believe she did something to her daughter despite this video. Her daughter has never been found. I believe the psychologist was put in a psych hospital. That's what Karen B said in the chat. So, yeah, so that's what the police so they believe that the psychologist did it, but you have this cop here who witnessed this.
Right.
And the psychologist was treating residents in the area who all claimed the same bizarre things were happening to them.
Right.
Do we know what town this was? They had to have said what town it was in the movie. Oh, out in Alaska. We'll look that up. But, yeah, let's watch the rest of this here.
Right.
Send backup now.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
This is his dash cam footage from his vehicle.
Yeah,
Alien
exactly.
abduction on call on tape. You decide. So yeah, you all decide that if it's real or not. I mean, I'm a big skeptic on UFOs.
Progress always has
yeah.
a
Okay.
partner.
Oh my
With
goodness.
every
We got an
design.
ad. Let's pause that.
Yeah.
Rookie mistake.
I mean,
All right, but
so
yeah. So I'm a big skeptic on UFOs
Yeah.
and stuff. I have a lot of trouble believing in it.
yeah,
But I mean, that's some proof right there that there's something.
yeah. This guy was completely just flabbergasted. Like he didn't know what was happening. He just
Nome, Alaska.
couldn't
So
even
this happened
believe
in
it.
Nome, Alaska.
And considering he has that dash cam footage, right? And the police believe the psychologist did something to her daughter instead. Says to me that maybe what if this was some kind of cover up? Why is she in a psychologist hostel? If her
Right.
daughter was taken, for example, right? Maybe what she witnessed drove her insane.
Yeah. So this is like in like the middle western section of Alaska. This is where this
Yeah.
happened. Like literally, Russia's right across the Bering Sea here.
Yeah,
And Nome is a small town. I mean, so Nome is also famous for like the Iditarod races and stuff. Not her name. Not her name. Her name was Dr. Abigail Tyler. Okay.
right.
So yeah, this happened in Nome, Alaska. I mean, this is a very, very remote town. What was that movie there with the dog there, where they had to get medicine to Nome. That's another
Yeah.
famous thing from Nome in Alaska. But it's part of the Iditarod race with the
Yeah.
huskies and the dog races in Alaska. Supposedly that was a true story too. With they had medicine for the town of Nome that they used the race to get the medicine out there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is a very, very remote town in Alaska. Like, there is like almost no way to get there except by sea. I think they might have an airport. But the infrastructure in Alaska is not really built up that way to where you can just drive on down.
So, are you considering the fact that maybe they targeted that place on purpose because of that reason, with them being so far away from other places, where they'd be less likely to be seen and be more out of sight should they be noticed?
Possibly, but I mean, it's very. I don't know why they would target that place out of all places. I mean, it's up near the Arctic Circle where it's like it's dark for a long portion of the year and it's light for a long portion of the year.
Well, this
It's also got the aurora borealis lights that happen quite often up there. What is this right here? I'm looking on Google Maps. Sorry.
Well, I mean, the Germans had. There was a time during World War II where like the Nazis and everybody was, exploring while the war was going on, and apparently the Germans took a
Balto.
very big interest.
Sorry, Balto was
in
the name of the movie. With the
the
dogs. there.
Antarctic. And supposedly the Germans found a way into the center of the Earth, supposedly. And apparently they reported seeing crafts and things that they couldn't believe.
Interesting.
So, we can go into like the inside of the Earth, hollow Earth theory, all that kind of stuff in another podcast. But apparently in the Antarctic, there's ways into the center of the Earth in the North and the South Pole. And the equator is said to be one of the places where many caves supposedly are on the planet, which lead to these places. That's a topic for another day, but
That kind of goes
we
into
do
that whole
that.
theory of like these aliens living under the planet's surface.
right, and supposedly a lot of crafts come out of the ocean as well. Apparently, there's been lots of footage of crafts emerging from the water and taking off.
So yeah, those are those the waterborne unidentified aircrafts. They what are they, CBO or something like that, like seaborne objects or something like that.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you got to consider.
SBO.
Like, what if they are underneath us? What if they are in our oceans? How
Uh,
would we know? We've only explored a tiny portion of the oceans. We know more about space than we do our own ocean. We've
right.
never been able to get deep enough.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of reports of these UFOs hovering around volcanic areas.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wonder why though. Like, why would that be such a big issue or hot topic for them? No pun intended there.
Well, I suppose volcanoes, when they erupt, they can destroy places and create new land, new islands and stuff. Maybe they consider it a threat. That these volcanoes could erupt and cause damage to them if they were to settle here, for example, or integrate society. Maybe, because as far as we know, that's kind of how lands were formed. We have volcanoes under the ocean, and they created the land masses we have around us. There's tectonic plates and all this kind of stuff involved. And supposedly these volcanoes will play a big part in what happens to the planet. Because if we take the supervolcano, for example, we can get into volcano topics another day, but it said if that was to erupt, it would cause soot to basically build up in the atmosphere, will block out our sun, and cause serious damage and set off a chain reaction throughout the planet.
Governments around the world also say don't shoot at these aircraft. The number one reason is these things are already so high that your bullets are not going to reach them.
Right.
Right. So, common sense, people, just don't shoot at these aircraft. Right. But these things, these beings, I don't think that the ones that are here, at least, are like militant. They're not scouts necessarily. I don't think. I think they're scientists, if anything. They're studying.
Yeah.
These things, just as if we do here on Earth, they're doing a job.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
What do we do when we discover new life? Like, we start prodding at it. We find out what its makeup is. Is it poisonous? Is it deadly? We take things apart because we're always trying to learn stuff about other things. How do we know they're not doing the same thing with us?
Right. So yeah, I think that these things are just scientists. They're doing a job. They're probably being told by their superiors to come here, study us, study the seismic activity of Earth. For what purpose? I have no idea.
Right, we can only speculate.
Right. And, if these things are, from, like, if they've been here for thousands of millions of years, perhaps they're just keeping an eye on us and seeing how we develop. Maybe they're the ones who put us here. They're God.
Essentially, yeah. Like...
Karen B in the chat just said that right there. Not to offend anyone who is religious, but perhaps aliens are the higher power, the creators, just thoughts and possibilities. Yeah, exactly. I was saying that before I read your comment.
Yeah,
they could be these higher powers. I mean, like she was saying, there's the depictions in the pyramids in Egypt and the Mayan civilizations, Aztecs. Of these things looking up at the stars, in Rome with the flying shields, and there was a lot of sightings during the Crusades.
Right.
A lot of it got destroyed, but the little remains of documents that we have suggest that there were UFOs then.
Like you said with the Roman times, if they've seen that metal flying shields and things, how far back?
You and I are gamers, and we've played the Assassin's Creed series, and that's kind of what that premise is on. Is that these aliens were here before us, and they essentially created us. They're our gods, and it's also a possibility as well.
I mean, consider our knowledge and scientific level back then was minuscule. We're
Right.
seeing these beings come down to our planet with all these crazy technologies and abilities that we couldn't even fathom. How do we know they aren't the gods that we worship? The Mayans are Kukulkan and Kukulkan and things of that nature. But all these different religions have different deities, essentially, which
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that yesterday with the religions. You know how all these religions, like, you know, I don't want to get too much into the religious topic because it's a very hot topic as far as religion and politics.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that type of stuff. But what I wanted to say was that, like, you know, the Quran with Muslim and Islam, um, Christianity and Catholics, Judaism, they all kind of revolve around the same principle in a way, as far
Right.
as a singular God, and you know they all have basically for the most part the same morals and guidelines to go across. But then you go further east into Asia, and then you got, you know, Confucianism and Buddhism and Hindu religions, you know, which kind of differ from you know, the Western side of the world,
Yeah.
as far as religion goes. Um, but you know, beyond like the Confucianism and Buddhism, which they follow I'm not too familiar with it, so I won't go into it. But they don't follow a god necessarily.
Right.
But the Hindus, they believe in many gods.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to how Egypt was, and everywhere was around the world.
Yeah. Greeks followed many, so did the Romans, the pantheons.
So my thing is, if these people for thousands of years all praised many different gods, you know, why? You know, and they're all depicted differently, but they're all essentially the same thing as far as, you know, they're all humanoid.
Right.
So with that, like, they're all humanoid, but they got, like, you know, masks on or something, you know, like,
Yeah.
but then, like, there was a switch to where it's like, oh, there's only one god. And I don't think that topic gets covered enough as far as, you know, other things. I'm not going to cover it on this podcast.
Oh.
But it's like, okay, well, why the switch? And does that have something to do with, you know, was there, like, a more powerful alien or something, maybe, or like the leader of them, or something that came down and said, yeah, I'm God, I'm the all-powerful being,
Right.
you know. And the gods, they weren't feared. I mean, they were feared, but they weren't like trembling in fear over these gods. A lot of these gods are portrayed as malevolent, peaceful beings, but not to be trifled
Right.
with. You know, as long as you did their bidding and you followed their will, you were good.
Yeah.
Um,
And then we also consider the fact that we have these beings that were amongst us.
right, and I was
Where are they now?
I was listening to a different podcast a couple nights ago, and oh, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Might be almost time for a break. But they were saying that, like, these. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought with it. All right, I'll get back to that.
Right.
But yeah, these okay, so yeah, these beings, you know, I guess there's some genetic manipulation with the human genes and our DNA. And if you look at the Bible,
we mated with them.
right? If you look at the Bible, it talks about. I mean, these people were living centuries in the Bible, essentially. Yeah. You know, 900 plus years. You know.
Right.
and all of a sudden there's like this sudden thing where now people are living to maybe 120 is our max cap.
Right.
And there's some theories out there saying that these aliens uh, did some gene manipulation on us and messed with our DNA to where we don't live as long, and essentially we became servants to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's talking like say the Greek mythology and stuff like that when it comes to their religion that some gods slept with mortals, right? So we were supposed to follow these gods, and we were many different gods for many different things. But if these gods mated with us, do they not pass something on
See,
to our
that's
genetics?
that's a good segue into our next segment here. So let's hold that thought. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll get back around. I'm on the East Coast here in the United States, so
Yep.
we'll get back at 6.
Right. So 9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes or so, and yeah, we'll go over that because that's a good topic.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up some music for everybody here, so that way we're not just bored out of our minds here while we're on break.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's like
I'll go ahead and put on the Be Back Soon screen here. All right, see if this works here.
Yeah, it's coming through.
All right, let's take a break.
submitted to over 100 Spotify playlist curators and boost your chance.
Okay.
Alright, I'm back. Alright, we all back here, right?
Yeah, I'm back.
I was talking, I had my mic muted. Alright, so let's get to this.
Yeah.
Alright, so, making a bunch of rookie mistakes. It's my first podcast. Bear with me, people. Alright, so, you were talking about the Greek gods and intermingling with humans and, essentially creating these demigods.
Right. Like Hercules, for example.
Right. So, that topic itself, I think may have been lost a little bit with translation, over time. But then again, maybe not. I mean, the Greeks were fantastic at record keeping. They were fantastic at it. They wrote down everything. I mean, you got the great philosophers from Greece.
Exactly.
And these between the Greeks and the Romans, like the record keepings were just absolutely amazing. They have so many records of stuff, and that's how we know about the Romans with the flying shields, was because of that right there with the records, Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, there could have been so much more we could have learned if it wasn't for the library being set on fire, where they lost tons of history.
So, you're talking about the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Like, we lost so many records. Goodness knows what else could have been written in there that we lost out on.
Thankfully, for what we know right now, it's facts that there was a lot of those records that were duplicated over time. And it was, essentially that what if people don't know, the House of Baghdad, which was during the Islamic Golden Age, um, they kept a bunch of those records that they copied and brought back to Baghdad from the Library of Alexandria, and that's how we got a lot of the information that was out of that library. I mean, obviously we don't have everything, but we do have a lot of records still that remained.
Yeah, that's obviously great in happenstance, because if it wasn't for that, we would have lost it for sure.
But what I wanted to say about maybe lost in some translation about breeding with these aliens was maybe it wasn't breeding, it was experiments.
Possibly.
You hear these people who get abducted and they say that they mess with their genitalia or things of that such. Maybe they were just implanting their genes or whatever to give birth to a hybrid alien.
Yeah.
Maybe not just been actual like intercourse, but like something like that, and that's what was actually meant. But at the time, there was just no way to describe that.
Right. And the other thing we have to take into consideration is, like, if we take the story of Zeus was apparently a very promiscuous god. He slept with other female goddesses, he slept with mortals, and supposedly his wife Helga got very angry and cursed a woman, turning her into Medusa. If we go by that record.
So Karen B, if you don't know, Karen B is my mother. She's in the chat with us. She's very interested in this type of stuff. She said, "How do we know for sure that we are not aliens? Or maybe we are actually half-breeds."
We could be.
We could very well be.
You take a look at our own skeletons and how we supposedly evolved, our skeleton kept changing.
Right, and that alone, like, maybe that's the reason why they keep coming back here. Check in on us, make sure that see how we're developing.
Yeah.
I do know that there's a lot of reports, what was that Air Force base there? It's in the center of the country here in the United States. It's a nuclear base. I believe it's like in Wyoming or, Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska area, somewhere, Colorado, somewhere in there. But there's a lot of UFO sightings over that nuclear base. And I think that these aliens are studying that. I mean, we literally harness the power of atoms and splitting them in two to blow things up.
Right.
Not only that, but we use them for our nuclear facilities. We use them for engines in our ships, our naval vessels.
Yeah.
So, I mean, perhaps they're taking a closer look at that as like a potential threat. I mean that is our strongest weapon here on this planet are our nuclear capabilities.
Oh, definitely.
And perhaps that could inflict some damage on them, and that's why they're keeping an eye on it.
Oh yeah.
Now, as far as I want to go off topic a little bit here with the nukes and stuff. I think United States, Russia, all these other countries, they were talking about denuclearization, and I honestly just believe that is a stupid idea.
Oh yeah.
The strongest weapon that we have knowledge of. I mean, it's the strongest on Earth that we know of. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm reading the comments. But I think it's a dumb idea to get rid of these things because I mean it's stupid obviously to use them on ourselves.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But to keep them as a insurance that if there are some outside invaders, that's what we have to use to blow them up.
Exactly.
If
if
they're here for peaceful means, great. That's awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
But if they're here for some malicious intent, at least we have something that they're interested in, clearly.
Well, if our government does know about them, let's say they have met them, they have talked to them, or they have knowledge of them, so then make the choice to denuclearize when they know about it would be one of the most stupidest, preposterous idea they could think of.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we need these things to
right.
ward off anything from our planet. let's not even talk about asteroids here, or aliens, but asteroids themselves, right?
Yeah.
You know, if we can fire one off, I mean, it's going to be, you know, talking about air defense and stuff with it. From knowledge I have from the military, like, it is incredibly hard to intercept something that's already in flight. And
Right.
I mean, obviously, the bigger the object, the easier it is to intercept. So an asteroid that's like, I don't know, the size of Texas, you know, you would think theoretically it would be pretty easy to hit. And theoretically, I mean, it is. It's just a fact of getting that missile to it. You know, I mean, our nukes are capable of going up into the lower atmosphere and flying around the planet, but they could theoretically go into space, but there's just no way to steer it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by the time we would hit an asteroid like that, it would create so many extra fragments that it would just come raining down Earth and destroy us anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to start looking into other ways to defend against something like that, you know, and as a planet, we've been hit by asteroids. Even in the modern day, there was the one out there in Russia that came crashing down, broke windows and stuff, and landed. Thank God it landed in Siberia, where there's like little to no population.
Yeah.
But I mean, it caused mass devastation out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're talking about another asteroid that's coming, you know, a large one that's coming in 2027, and then again in 2031, or was it 33, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's gonna literally skate right past us, like in our atmosphere, go below our satellites. And we're too focused on North Korea, China, Russia. You know, all this stuff. Like, we need to be worried about the outside threats. You know, yeah, okay, we got these internal threats too, but I mean, like, these things could end all of us.
Yeah.
And we should be working together. Yes, working together to deflect these things for our population to thrive.
Exactly.
I mean, we can have our disagreements, but like, we need to work as a one race, a human race, to fight these things. You know?
Exactly.
And
all these people.
If we did that, if there was aliens, then I could possibly see them wanting to like incorporate us into their dominion. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think humanity as a whole, especially if it's a mostly peaceful dominion of aliens, you know, I think humanity would be more keen to join that. You know, then we could have some Star Trek type stuff, you know? Alright, so let me look at some of these comments here. My mother's been commenting here. We don't know the extent of what our government might have as weapons that we don't know about. It's true. Look up the DEW, Directed Energy Weapon. Alright, let's take a look at that.
I mean, if we think about what we could accomplish, if everybody unified and worked together, all our world scientists all collaborating, think the amount of technological advancements we could make with that amount of cooperation. We should be unifying and working together to stop outside threats, because they're the ones that will end us all. At the end of the day,
right?
Asteroids are a threat that threatens everybody. It doesn't matter about what race you are, what place you come from. We're all in this together, in the same boat, and could be destroyed by this asteroid. So we need to work together to focus on destroying it safely.
So directed energy weapons are real. They can be such things as lasers, radio frequency devices, and high-powered microwaves. And the U.S. and other governments are exploring using them for military purposes. So the thing with that is, you know, we shouldn't be using these things for military purposes. We should be using these things for scientific purposes.
Right.
And, I mean, if we had something like that for science, I mean, that would be to deflect the asteroids or comets or meteors or whatever might be coming towards us. You know? And I know there's games like Stellaris and stuff that had these weapons on there, and you can place them on moons and things like that to help protect your planets and stuff, you know. But yeah, we could do stuff like that, you know.
I mean, why have we never gone back to the moon?
Well,
that's another thing.
As far as going back to the moon, I mean, I know China has a mission plan to go to the moon, and I think Russia was also talking about that, but I think their plans got halted by Ukraine.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
like,
as far as last thing I read online about Russia going to the moon, they're still on board with it, but it's just going to be delayed.
Yeah.
And I know the United States with SpaceX, they're talking about the possibility of going back and doing another moon mission.
I know, but if you remember, when the when our astronauts went to the moon, we've never gone back in all this time, right?
Right.
And supposedly, they encountered something. Something came through in their feed about something watching them.
I mean, yeah, I've heard astronauts saying that before too. But
And
I mean,
if you notice, when they came back from space, they didn't exactly seem proud or cheery like you'd expect. It's like, we just went to the moon. You'd think with smiles on their faces, they look miserable.
I mean, it with that too. I mean, that to me translates to, oh, we went down to the Marianas Trench and saw a Loch Ness monster, and now we're never gonna go back. You know, that's that's the same principle there. You know.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no, you still need to study this for scientific purposes. You need to go back.
Yeah.
You know, yes, it's dangerous, but we need to go back. And here's the thing: today in the modern world, we have such advanced technologies now, at least to us, that we can send drones out there.
Right.
And these drones pose no threat to us. So
I mean, there's said to be structures on the moon, right?
we had
Because we're talking
mysterious
about the moon
green
right
lights
now.
over Hawaii a couple months ago. Then we just had the craziest hurricane with no rain cause a wildfire and take out a whole town in Hawaii. Just saying, it's a bit sketch. Yeah, that is very
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts on the Hawaiian wildfire. Prayers and thoughts go out to all of them out there. I hope that they're getting what they need. I know they're not getting everything they need, but God, that's devastating. That's terrible what happened to them out there. And the lack of, I would say slow government response, but it's a lack of government response to the whole situation.
Yeah. I mean, the
I mean,
devastation they must be feeling, we can't possibly imagine.
yeah, and then there's a hurricane going over Baja California and into Southern California in the United States here, first time in like 80-something years.
Yeah.
That's the weather's been, it needs to chill. There was a tornado up in New England, I believe it was.
Well, we could get into talks about supposedly the US government have a way of affecting the atmosphere and weather. They have a weather machine. And we can get into that topic another time.
Yeah, that's another whole divulgence.
That's a whole so another time perhaps.
Yeah.
But like, there's many things that we've had all these wildfires recently, so many of them. They say it's due to global warming.
Something I want to go over as far as okay, we're talking about weather and aliens now.
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Right.
So Antarctica, right? There was a project that was out there where they were digging into the surface of Antarctica, and supposedly they found something down there and they buried it back up.
A craft or something, yeah.
Something, yeah.
Essentially.
A ship, a craft, something. They found something down in the ice that was, not supposed to be there.
Well, there's said to be a creature in the Antarctic, in the water. We could get into the topic another time, and underwater beings and myths and legends of like sea creatures and stuff like that, with krakens and all that. But supposedly there was something that drove these guys, kind of put them in mind control, so to speak.
Right.
And the reason why I feel like it kind of relates here a little bit is because what could possibly have the ability to do that? That's some kind of...
Well, they also said that supposedly they found pyramids in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Like,
So how do we know there isn't an alien race out there dwelling in the oceans beneath the ice? We can't possibly know, but if it's something that's said to be able to mind control you just by looking at you, doing different colour patterns to hypnotise you,
Right.
What other abilities would some of these other races potentially possess? What could they
and
do
those
to
are
our
that's
minds?
another theory that's been going out about aliens as well, is that they have the ability to mind control us essentially.
Right.
And they can project themselves into our mind and become invisible essentially if they wanted to where we can't see them,
Which is
and we wouldn't even
flipping
know.
wild. It's
That game, Destroy All
Absolutely.
Humans. There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
power that you can do that in there with. Same thing.
and where do we get the idea for all these kind of powers that we should be able to do? That's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's science fiction. Just people
Yeah.
with very active imaginations.
What if some
And,
of it is actually based off something somebody
some
experienced
fact?
and they
Yeah,
talked
I
about
think
it?
some of it might be based off some fact.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like Antarctica, there's so much unknown about that continent, and it's
Yeah.
so I mean, you can go there. Anyone can go there. It's just
Yeah.
it's incredibly hard and expensive to go there, and I think the governments of
Right.
the world made it that way because they don't want us going there.
Right.
You
In
know,
case we discover something they don't want us to find.
right? And I see all these. I won't go into it, but what I was gonna say, I won't even go into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the pyramids down there, that dig that they did out there, all these research facilities, they're like, oh, it's for the penguins. Yeah, that's a load of bull.
Oh,
They're not,
exactly.
they're not out there to study ice and penguins. Like, come on now.
Like, how much can you learn from a penguin? Like, you can learn
Yeah.
a lot about them, yes, but you're not going to be out there that interested
Dude.
just for a bunch of penguins.
We have penguins in zoos now, all across the world. Study them there.
Well, I understand the why study them in the natural habitat, but I just don't believe that they're out there putting that much emphasis on fucking penguins. Sorry, excuse my language, sorry.
Yeah.
On flipping penguins. Because that's just way too absurd. Oh, we're going to be dedicating all this money, all these resources for some penguins. Nah. There's something behind that amount of spending and effort they're trying to make.
Yeah, I agree. There's just to study penguins out there in ice. How much can you really learn about that? Monitoring the ice, I understand that. And the ice levels and
definitely.
stuff. I can understand that, but to put that much money and effort into just that alone, it's things aren't adding
Way
up.
too crazy, preposterous.
Yeah, things are not adding up.
You don't spend that much money just looking at a bunch of penguins.
Right. People who claim they experience these things were called crazy and conspiracies. Conspiracy theorists, yeah. But seems these days many of these conspiracies are turning out to be actually true. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't believe that we're in Antarctica to study rocks and ice and penguins. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's some degree of truth to it, and that's what we're doing, but there are billions of dollars going into Antarctica.
Oh, yeah.
And it's to study all that? No, it's...
I mean, we survived the Ice Age, right?
Right.
With flipping...
And
what do
why
you call
so
it?
much
We had, like,
emphasis on
skin
Antarctica?
hot.
Why so much emphasis on Antarctica, not so much on the Arctic either?
Yeah. We use animal hides and all sorts to survive out in the cold, made woolly outfits and stuff when we was around during the Ice Age, so we can survive without needing to put billions of dollars into Antarctica. We can make something suitable and habitable for our people with much less amount.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it does not require that much.
But I don't understand why all this emphasis on Antarctica but not the Arctic. Like, it's essentially the same biome, so why are we more focused on the South Pole and not the North Pole?
Right.
And the North poles, I mean, there's no continent up there, but the ice caps are melting at an alarming rate, and polar bears and other species up there are losing their habitat. So
Yeah.
this whole global warming thing, I mean, look, Do I believe it's happening to a degree? Yeah, but not at the extent that the government's saying.
Right, and if they really cared so much that
Right.
we're producing too much plastic, too many
Well,
emissions, and all
for
this
for
kind of stuff,
global
it's
warming,
like,
look, the planet has always gone through cycles of hot and cold,
oh yeah,
right? And we're going through a warmer time, and again,
yeah,
our planet will go through another cold snap with another ice age eventually, thousands or millions or whatever years down the road.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and these people who out there claim, oh, we should be having our cold snap now and yada yada yada. We don't know that.
yeah,
We do not know
Well-
that. There is no scientific data that concretely says that should be happening.
right,
But what we do know is that we're going through a warm cycle right now. Now, do I think that humans caused some of that? Yeah, a little bit. Very minuscule, but I think we did
Yeah.
a little bit. Especially because of
Yeah.
during the 50s through the 80s with all the nuke testings.
oh yeah,
But I mean, like, nuclear energy these days is probably, if not the cleanest, then one of the cleanest energies. And everybody wants to shut these plants
Right.
down. And I'm like, why? I understand shutting down
Well-
coal and oil plants because those produce mass pollution. Although
Oh, yeah.
that's in more places like China or Russia and other like places that don't have many regulations on it. In the United States, they have
Right.
regulations to capture that pollution. I mean, some still does leak out through these coal plants and oil plants, but they have carbon emitting capture like I don't know, technologies that, and England
Yeah.
has them as well, where they produce less pollution. But all these
Right.
people want to complain about the pollution here in the States or in Europe, and I'm like, why are you complaining about here when we have the most regulated pollution collection in the world?
right,
Go to the places that don't have that,
yeah,
because and say that there, but you won't do that. They won't do that because they'd get arrested.
yeah,
All right, we're getting a little bit off topic, but we'll get back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as far as the whole Antarctic thing with the aliens, man, I definitely think there's something out there, and they're definitely studying it. I mean,
oh yeah,
I look at some of these like games or movies and the pop culture, and I think there's some truth behind some of it. I mean, you had what Alien vs Predator type movie where they're in Antarctica.
yeah,
Yeah, and they found all the alien stuff down there. I think there's some truth
yeah.
behind all that. I think that there's something like that out there. Maybe not in the extent of what the movie's portraying, but like
yeah.
there's definitely something out there.
Could have been something found beneath the ice. An alien civilization of some kind, and we got a
Yeah.
modern adaptation of it being what we prescribed it as for the sake of entertainment value. What may have really been discovered might not have been in
And
that sort of sense.
That goes back to what you were saying about the caves too, because there's a lot of caves that are underneath Antarctica.
Right. And apparently some of them have been blocked up. Why would they block them up?
Right. Yeah, and a lot of these
Why would we
caves
go for the
lead out
effort
into
of
the
putting it
ocean,
up?
underneath the continent and underneath the ice. They lead out to the ocean.
Right.
It's mind blowing.
I mean, it said we found, like, so much water inside of the Earth.
Right.
And it was contained within the rocks. So it's not necessarily like a pool of ocean that you think the oceans actually are. It's more so the amount of water contained in the rock inside of the Earth was multiple times the amount in our oceans. It was confined within the minerals.
Right.
And supposedly, that leads to the hollow earth theory of something being inside of the earth and possibly being able to sustain life.
Right.
And we know so little about it, save for a few reports from certain places. But it's like, why wouldn't we look into this more? Are there places in the woods where Bigfoot could have been coming from that could have been leading into the Hollow Earth? We don't know. But the fact that there are caves that lead further in the earth, we do not know what's down there. And if we do, the government is going to give us the ability to go and explore them freely, you know?
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this up here real quick.
Right.
Let me just open this real quick. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe not. It's giving me some trouble here.
Right.
All right. Yeah. This thing that you sent me here in Discord. I'm trying to pull this up for the screen here, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's giving me some trouble.
Right.
Yeah. As you can, I heard it on my stream here. They ba-doom.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So. All right. Let's pull this up here. Let me get my screen capture on here.
Right. While you do that, I'm just gonna go grab me a drink real quick. I left it in the other room. I'll be like 20 seconds max.
Okay. Yeah. No worry, man. So display capture. There we go. Okay. So as you can see here, right, we're going to talk about some of these aliens here in England and sightings. As you can see this map here.
And I'm back. 20 seconds max.
Wow, that was fast. So yeah, I got the screen up now.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, look at that for London, man. 127 sightings. That is insane.
Exactly.
And just north of that, 46 and 37. Like the interest of that area. And 87 up towards what I think that's what Manchester area.
Leeds and Manchester, yeah.
Yeah, around the populous centers. I mean, I guess it would make more sense for alien sightings, especially in the like populous areas, because more people have the opportunity to see it.
Exactly.
But what I find is interesting is that as you go further north and further to the west, there's just less.
Exactly. It's like a corresponding kind of like pattern that we can see. Down to the southeast, for example, we see it bouncing around the same placements mostly.
Right.
Then when you look southwest, it's like as it gets further away, there's less activity yet again. Where you get your 7, your 5, your 7, nearly 25, it's like it's starting to drop off over towards the southwest. So
yeah, over in here, yeah, 7, 5, 7, yeah.
Yeah.
And then even down here by like Dover, I believe that's Dover down here. It's like 3 of them.
Right.
Belfast, you got 12.
Exactly.
This map that you got, does it say when this report came out for this?
Let me see if I click on any of them if anything pops up. It just zooms in for me, rather than actually give me the information.
Right.
Fortunately.
And you notice a lack of them in Scotland as well, except for like Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Or Edinburgh. I don't know how to pronounce their capital.
Yeah. I mean, when I zoom in,
Wales is like virtually nothing. I mean, to be fair, I'll make the joke here. Who wants to go to Wales, right? No, but
yeah, if we take a look at it zoomed in and then focus on London now, you'll then see a much bigger picture of the surrounding areas are actually a really low number, and you've just got right on top of London, 43.
All right, that's crazy. I wonder if here. Let me try and find a. We'll go back to the background.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm gonna try and find a map for the U.S. Here. can hear me typing up.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's just very interesting. So I'd be interested to see what you have for the States.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I don't have anything as extensive as that, like how many reports.
Right.
Um, see a picture of the weather balloon being blown up.
Give me a random United States postcode, real quick.
Shoot, I wouldn't even know, man. I have like a random one.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Let me see. United States postcode. Because I've got an idea to potentially see if I can search through that, but. Okay, you have an interesting postcode. You just have numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see if I can work this. So. 64075. No, it doesn't work on this. Okay, hang on.
Okay, this map is not loading up, but I do have an interesting map on here. Don't know if my computer's just not handling this well or what, but yeah, this is I can definitely see the outlines of the continents.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe if anyone else is watching this, the website for it, I'm gonna put it in the chat here. It's not coming up on my computer, so I'm not going to post it, but I put it in the chat here. It's Metro, so like metrocosm.com/UFO-sightings-map.html. Alright. The map is not loading on my screen, but you can actually like click on these dots here, and it comes up with videos and pictures of these sightings.
Hmm.
So go check out that website if anyone's for anyone watching, and you can actually check out. This might just be the United States actually for it. Yeah, I'm kind of see it. I can kind of see the outline of the United States for all these sightings.
Right.
Yeah, like this is Florida down here. I'm seeing this. I don't have it up on the screen, but like I'm looking on my other monitor here. There seems to be a lot over what would probably be like Michigan, Ohio. A ton of them up there. A lot towards like New York, and then a bunch out west. There's a couple where it would be like Virginia, North Carolina.
Right.
I really wish my computer would load this map.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not loading.
You're on Metrocosm.
Yes, Metrocosm.
Yeah, I'm having the same issue.
Okay, so it might be their site. Yeah, it might be their site. It might be the PC. I don't know. Let me try it in Google Chrome. Yeah, no, I'm having the same issue. It's actually worse for Chrome. Okay. But yeah, that's interesting. Just an interesting thing to think about.
Okay, I might have found something for you, maybe.
All right.
Try out this.
Okay, yeah, this is working.
Yeah. So this is
All right, so
things like
yeah,
Bigfoot
let's
sightings and UFOs.
let's cross
You
over
can
this.
toggle it off.
So I'm gonna try and all right. So yeah, as you can see here, so like these little red dots here, these are all UFO sightings, right?
Yeah.
What are these blue ones here?
Blue
Possible
one.
Thunderbird sighting. Okay, so I'm assuming those are other like types of creatures. I wish this thing would go off the screen.
Yeah.
So North Dakota, right? I wonder where this is at. Minot Air Force Base. See what I mean? They like to hang out around military sites. I mean, this is over this place, but like they're near the military base.
I don't see what you're looking at though.
Yeah, so I have it up on the stream here. But yeah, Minot Air Force Base is right here, as you can see,
Right.
and right over here is a UFO sighting. This is back in 2022. It says.
Okay.
So I mean, I do know they like to hang out around military bases here. So like Colorado, right? I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of military bases right up here. There's a Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado Springs, right there. Look at that. Right down here, Canyon City. Over the mountains. There's
Yeah.
3 of them right in that area, and these are all 2020, 2020, and 2020. Yeah, all 2020. August, November, and May. So yeah, all within like the same year though. 3 of them, right over that
Yeah.
like surrounding the base there.
And supposedly there was an influx in UFO sightings during the pandemic. Apparently.
See, I'm less keen to believe the ones over here, in like Vegas
Yeah.
and stuff, because I do know Area 51 is out that way.
Oh yeah. So lots of people. making
Mexico,
stuff.
Mexico has a ton of them over in the Baja California region.
Yeah.
I do like too, and then
Definitely.
we'll go over that topic at a later date for the Bigfoot sightings. But as you can see, like a lot of like up here in Seattle, Oregon area, and then the Appalachians. Yeah, all like wooded, heavily wooded areas.
Yeah.
Florida's got a ton as well for UFO sightings.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Check out the rest of the world, though. I mean, there's not a lot of reports for the rest of the world, though, which is what's weird, you know?
Yeah.
None in like South America.
Yeah.
None in Africa, man.
I mean, Africa. I don't think they have as developed cities as us, so maybe
Unless
that
this
might
is
be
like
why.
just a more updated, modern listing, you know. But yeah, because like I'm seeing a lot of 2020 reports and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You got another one right by London over here, October of 2020.
That's it.
Another one, June of 2020. Bright orange lights in the sky.
Yeah.
France has got one in there. Belgium. But then like there's just not. I don't know if it's just data's not being calculated. Yeah, a lot of military bases in Florida and California. So yeah, I mean, that's why I'm less prone to believe there are actually UFOs in those areas, and that it might just be the military.
Yeah.
But like certain areas, especially because like Florida. I mean, Florida's Florida. You got the Florida people out there. They have some wild stories out there. But I'm not just trying to discredit them. I'm just saying like they take everything from certain places with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Because there'll be plenty of people that just jump into the hype of it and being like, because it's the area, being like, oh, I saw something, you know. Just
Yeah.
Not the pizzazz about it.
But I mean, Florida does have like a space, what is it, the Cape Canaveral space station? Not station, but like space, like pad, port, whatever you want to call it, the agency out there. So I mean, you know, possibility, yeah, they could definitely be over in that area. Checking it out.
We're working on.
Right.
Wondering how we're developing our propulsion systems and things.
What I'm noticing, though, at least from this map that you showed me here, is that there's just a severe lack of them in the central United States. I mean, like,
yeah,
you got most of them on the coastlines or up in the Appalachians, like out here, out in like Kentucky, Tennessee. Like, look at this one right here. I wish I could turn off these like other ones here.
Things. I know I can't figure out how to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but yeah, look at this right here though. There's a mass grouping of them right here in Kentucky. See, this is what makes me interested is, okay, why is there such a large grouping of them in one specific area? Like, what is in that area that makes it so interesting that there'd be so many UFOs?
Yeah.
And they're all different times.
Bizarrely. Quite interesting.
Look, this is a small little community right here off of like a interstate, not interstate, but like a little highway, you know, Highway 72 here.
Yeah.
Closest town here is Path Fork, so it says.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a place I've never even heard about. You know, they tend to go towards like military bases or like remote places, like we saw with the Fourth Kind thing that we're talking about with Nome.
Could that mean that we may possibly have some military installations in the area that are being hidden from us, from the
Possibly, but I mean, look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 right here on the screen that I can see, all in the same area. And it's all around this mountain area right here.
Right. Could there possibly be a cave that leads inside of the earth there?
I would assume so. I mean, it's a very mountainous area. It's right on the border of Kentucky and Virginia.
I mean, one thing we could also get onto with, like...
possible werewolf sighting here, Dogman.
Yeah. But there's also... We could get into the paranormal things around natural parks and things, where people have gone missing. And supposedly there are beings that are essentially invisible, hiding in the area, supposedly. And many people have gone missing in these wildlife parks. Many have chalked it up to animal attacks. Many people have just gone completely missing. There was the case of a small child supposedly somehow separating from the group, making his way all the way up to the top of some mountains by himself, and he was found dead after months of searching.
All right. Yeah, that's odd.
Supposedly, there are also beings like ancient Indians in these local wildlife reserve areas and places.
Fort Knox.
And they supposedly have met with ancient beings, you know? They tell stories of meeting with them, and there's one place...
Karen B said maybe Fort Knox in that area, but no, Fort Knox is further west of that. I mean, it's west of Lexington, and this is like all on the... This is all on the east side of Kentucky and Virginia. So, I mean, it's quite a distance away from Fort Knox.
Well, could they have potential technology that could see for miles?
Possibly, yeah. But, I mean, from what I've seen and what I've heard from these UFO sightings and stuff is that, like, wherever they're at, they're interested in that area.
Yeah.
Like, there's something that they're interested in for that area.
Yeah.
And it's always these remote places that these things are at, you know?
People talk about seeing all kinds of crazy things in the woods at night. Beings that are bipedal, walking around on two legs. We were talking about this a little bit the other night with the rake that many people have said to have seen. But it's like, how do we know they're not an alien race on this planet if these are indeed true?
Yeah, that very well could be. I mean, I was telling you last night how I saw what I believe to be a rake. I mean, this is years back now. It's terrifying, and we'll go into that with another podcast as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... I got out of that area quick. I never reported it.
They could be alien beings living out in the wilderness for all we know.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this article here from was it apnews.com about the whistleblowers for Congress, telling the U.S. Congress about the aliens and stuff. It says Major David Grush, about the government hiding stuff from us.
Supposedly people had been murdered as part of a conspiracy to keep alien craft a secret.
Yeah. We have military in both Kentucky and Virginia. Also, there's also the FBI, CIA. Yeah, the FBI, CIA. I mean, they're in every state, but they're headquartered out of Washington D.C., which is more like northwest from where those sightings were.
I mean, he also claimed that apparently the U.S. has been in possession of UFOs since like the 1930s. Now, if we think back, how far will that be?
I remember watching this video a long time ago. I would have to go looking for it and digging through the internet to find it, but it was two British soldiers. They were doing training. I want to say it was up near Birmingham, something like that. Birmingham, maybe. Yeah, they were doing some training up near there, and they heard some rustling in the woods and a bright light coming from the woods where they're near their training site. And these two guys went out to go investigate it, and they said they saw a craft out there and some beings.
Right.
And they went in to go investigate it, and they said that the creatures or beings were friendly towards them. They didn't interact really with them, but they had like these arms, long arms, and they raised one of their arms up at them, and they went running.
Yeah.
And they went into they told their chain of command. It went up the chain of command, and then these people in suits came and took them. Hooked them up to polygraphs, they said, and they were told. I mean, these guys were elderly when they were telling their story, or at least the one guy was. I think the other one passed away.
The fabled Men in Black.
Yeah, fabled Men in Black here, and they polygraphed them and told them that they were never allowed to speak on it.
Right.
And
why were they not allowed to speak?
Right. Like this is the British government telling their troops not to tell anyone about this thing. And he never shared his story until he was elderly.
Yeah.
When he was like, "Hey, I'm on my deathbed. I'm going to share my story."
Right.
And thankfully he did.
And bravery that took him.
Yeah, exactly. It's just insane that they told him not to tell anyone about this, and like, well, why not?
Yeah, we should have a right to know.
Yeah. And this whole thing of the government's like, oh, we're going to hide this information from the public because, it create mass hysteria. No, I don't think it would. I think, in the today's day and age, we just want to know the truth. Are we alone out there or not?
Could we consider the possibility of running into something that we're not familiar with? Things that we should know. If these things are dangerous, should we not attack them? Should we move away from them? Like, what's the protocol?
Well, here's the thing.
There's many things that came from it.
They say don't shoot at them, don't interact with them, just to report it. But then, you do report it, and then all of a sudden you get these meetings from these fabled Men in Black. It's like, why would you report it? And I think a lot of people are afraid to report it because they're afraid of being taken by the government.
Fear tactics.
Right, exactly.
is still interfering to people, possibly threatening to harm something they hold dear. And we don't know what kind of tactics they are possibly using and what they could be saying to these people. But if they're willing to listen, they must be telling them something. Because people aren't just going to just not say something because we said, oh, don't do that. There's got to be something that was made to them, some kind of threat of some kind to keep them in silence for so long. To the point somebody would wait till their deathbed and then share the truth. Because they possibly could have been worried about repercussions of divulging it earlier in their life and had tragedy befall from it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I just want to read this post real quick. The U.S. is concealing a long-standing program that retrieves and reverse engineers unidentified flying objects. A former Air Force intelligence officer testifies Wednesday to Congress. This was shared back on July 26th, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The Pentagon has denied his claims. Go figure. Retired Major David Grush, highly anticipated testimony before a House Oversight Subcommittee was Congress' last foray into the world of UAPs, which is what they're calling UFOs now. They're not UFOs, they're UAPs now.
Yeah.
Or unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the official term for the U.S. government uses instead of UFOs. While the study of mysterious aircraft or objects often evokes talk of aliens and little green men, in quotes, Democrats and Republicans in recent years have pushed for more research as a national security matter due to the concerns sightings observed by pilots may be tied to U.S. adversaries. Grush said he was asked in 2019 by the head of a government task force on UAPs to identify all highly classified programs relating to the task force missions. At the time, Grush was detailed to the National Reconnaissance Office, the agency that operates U.S. spy satellites. Here's the thing, too, though, is that apparently he's not going to be testifying in front of Congress anymore.
Why not?
Exactly. Why not? Right? Apparently some congressmen or women, I don't know who it was, I'd have to go in there and look, but they said that they're not going to have him testify in front of Congress anymore.
We're talking the possibility of an alien life form, the possibility of potentially a threat, and Congress don't want to hear
cover
it
up.
out.
I think it's all cover up.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think it's all cover up.
They didn't want him to divulge secrets.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll go into more into what the government may or may not be keeping from us and more about this story here. We'll go ahead and take a break here and come back in about 10.
Yep, sounds good.
10 to 15.
Yep.
Alright. Put on the Be Back Soon screen here for y'all. Alright. And let's get that music playing again.
Pardon me. Hey yo. You back yet?
Alright, I'm back. Alright, so I'm back. Don't know if Aaron is back yet, but...
I'm there.
Okay, Aaron is here. Alrighty. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here. Let me go ahead and make sure that this is off real quick. Watch this ad real quick. Okay, I don't know why this is playing over this, but that's alright. We'll,
I found a clip called "Abduction" caught on camera.
Alright, so
I thought
we're gonna.
it might have been alien related, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was actually somebody catching doorbell footage of somebody actually being kidnapped, which is wild.
Alright, so I want to watch this about the whistleblower here in the U.S.
Yeah.
This is back in July for this.
Retired Navy Commander David
Yeah.
Fravor.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency.
Do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes, and here's why. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and you could put that anywhere. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Alright, so
Right.
that right there. So the Pentagon's claiming that these are all false claims.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any surprise or shock there.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way to admit to something like that. No fucking way.
No.
To
No
keep
way.
that secret on the hush hush.
Yeah, no way.
No way
So
they're gonna openly just say out to the public, "Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we have craft capable of this."
right. Yeah, but yeah, so I think that this guy has a lot of truth that he wants to speak.
Yeah.
I definitely think we've been reverse engineering their technology.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I believe this is where we got our stealth technology. I believe this is how we developed the internet.
Yeah. I mean, it was around the time that UFOs became prevalent that around those times we started to make these amazing technological advancements, capable of doing things years way out of our depth. Just suddenly able to just suddenly make an internet where my voice can be spoken right now, can be sent up for a freaking beam into space, right down into another location in the world. There's no way we just stumbled upon that ourselves. We got that from somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I mean, things that have come out before that were like, you gotta think like, so we had Morse code, we had telecommunication, radio, you know, we had radar that came out.
Mm.
But yeah, as far as like stealth coding on our aircraft and stuff, that, like, why does the United States have that? But like, it's taken the rest of the world so long to get it, you know?
Right.
Um, I mean, it's not that we're just more intelligent. Like,
No?
I feel like,
I mean, don't get me wrong, you got some brilliant minds, but so do other places as well.
right. I mean, so sorry. I have my food here. I'm eating, and I'm not trying to have you guys hear me crunch on this stuff.
Oh, good.
So, but yeah, I believe that, you know, like, why doesn't Europe have these stealth aircraft like we have in the United States? Why doesn't China? Why doesn't Russia? We have,
Yeah,
like, only us here in the United States have that.
right.
And I mean, I'm not saying they don't have stealth either, but it's not really stealth around the world. It's, less than visible on radar. Like, we can see you on radar still. Whereas you got something like the
Yeah.
F-22 where it's like invisible. It's the size of a bumblebee on the for a cross section on the radar.
Right.
So it's just
Getting that kind of technology
yeah, right. And
from somewhere.
it's just it's mind-boggling, and I feel like this has to be reverse engineered from something.
Yeah,
Um,
most definitely.
and uh, you know, there's been reports of different types of UFOs and how they take off, and combustion has been one of them as well. Same as what we use here on Earth.
Yeah.
And something that I haven't really seen talked about is maybe there's some sort of deal between the aliens and the government, and maybe some of these crashed ships they can't get back into orbit for some reason, and we've given them propulsion to get back up.
Yeah.
Because some of these propulsion systems, I mean, we're using them on our aircraft, such as like the F-35 or the what's the plane there that the British have, the Harrier, I think it's called.
Mm.
So I mean, they take off vertical, and then they can fly.
Yeah.
That's weird. My audio cut out for a minute.
There's a lot of potential things they have access to that we don't even know about.
All right.
We're getting tidbits here and there, but most of the really good stuff they keep it to themselves.
I mean, what's your take on all this, as far as like with the government cover-ups and and like why do you think that they're keeping it from us?
Maybe to not incite panic, or maybe so they can look like they're the cool ones, so to speak. Like, oh, well, look all these things we created, look all the things we discovered. It's like, kind of give them, something that we'd worship them for to a degree, in the sense of, we did this. When really, they're possibly taking it from other places and just trickling it to us a bit at a time. Releasing bits and pieces to the public to use.
So like a power
Be
trip.
like, hey, look, power trip, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it'd be to prevent mass panic. I think the people are very willing and acceptant of that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
And I think they're all people in general are prepared for that. And I think the government knows this. But yeah, I mean, it could be as far as the fact of like, let's hide what we do know and come out with it. So I don't know. The government's very bold as far as things. So when they do have something that they've reverse engineered, they're not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
They like playing with the new toys and showing what they have.
Well, most definitely.
And they don't care if you know or don't know where it came from. They'll spin their narrative.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, the fact that supposedly people were killed to cover this up.
Yeah, that as well. That's amazing that, but I mean, I can't say I'm surprised by it either,
Yeah.
because I mean, it goes with anything, like you have any kind of like sensitive information and it leaks out and they'll come after you.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I mean, conspiracies alone, I mean, look what happens with the government in general when there's like somebody in the government or knows someone in the government and they overhear a secret and then all of a sudden they disappear or they die or they drown or whatever.
Right.
So and they just, it's like, well, why them? What did they hear? That's what I want to know. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what did they overhear? Because
What are they covering up? Why are they covering it up?
right, and
What other
I
things
can't.
are they
I think
covering
it's
up?
partly for what you said. It's about the power, but partly also just so that they can maintain their seat in power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But and for anyone else that is going to listen to this or look it up later on, like, this is not about politics. It's not about the government. This is strictly about aliens for this topic, and we're talking about how the government is covering up alien secrets. I mean, among other secrets, but it's mainly about the alien secrets.
Yeah.
And
And then
how this whistleblower here, the Grouch, how how they're not letting him testify anymore on behalf for the on what's going on with the government and the aliens. Congress isn't doing that, so if you guys want to hear about this stuff and hear what he has to say, write your congressman. Go write your congressman,
right.
and have them speak up for you. Make them do their job. Have them speak up for you, so that way he can go testify in front of Congress. And God forbid, I hope nothing happens to this man, because he's got such a target on his back now. Because look at what's happened in the past with all these people who come out with this stuff, and like you said, people got killed over this.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't they do the same thing? You know what? I'm saying it here. I don't think I'm the first to say this, but I'm saying it here. If this man dies, it's not even a conspiracy anymore. They're killing people to hush people up.
Yeah.
I'm saying it here.
I mean, to go through so much length as well, just to make sure it doesn't get out there. Like,
Let's make this man untouchable to the government. If he dies,
Yeah.
the government is the one that killed him. We'll say it.
Yeah.
Call me conspiracy theorist or whatever you may be or whatever. I definitely think the government is the one that killed him if he dies. God forbid this does not happen. I hope that he is able to speak his piece on this and let the people hear what we always known to be true.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if there is a species out there that we could potentially be encountering, the fact that they keep it from us and they say not to attack it, why would they not tell the populace not to attack it?
Right.
If these things are that dangerous that they don't want soldiers attacking them, why would you leave it up to chance for a civilian potentially doing so in fear of their lives or safety of another?
Well, again, so first and foremost, don't shoot these craft if they're flying, because your bullet's not going to reach it and it could possibly hit somebody else. The bullet will come back down. Gravity is a thing.
Yeah.
So don't shoot at them. No, I'm telling you right now, if there's a little green man in my backyard, I'm taking a pop shot off at this thing.
Right.
I'm telling you that right now. I don't care what the government tells me.
In the UK, it's a bit different. They can move around a lot better because we don't have guns, you know?
And if that ever happened, the government comes for me, then you know.
Got a gun. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what happened to me then.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's a gun for every, square mile?
That's,
multiple guns per square mile throughout the United States. So
yeah.
the fact the civilians most likely going to shoot it if they see it. They're not going to try and run up to it and stab it with a knife. They're going to pop shot. They're going
Yeah.
to take a shot at it.
If I saw one in my backyard, I'm taking a shot at it. I mean, I'm going to verify
Right.
that it's not human first. You know, I don't want to be shooting no person. I mean, unless it's, you know, someone trying to break into my house. But
Right.
if I can verify that, okay, that thing's not human, I'm taking a shot at it.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell they could do, what possible abilities they may have.
Yeah. I mean, that thing's either going to die or nothing's going to happen to it and it's going to kill me or, you know, maybe abduct me or something, you know, but
Yeah.
who knows, you know, but yeah, I'm not leaving that up to chance.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm encouraging, or rather not encouraging people to do for this podcast is do not shoot at the craft while they're in the air. Just don't
Yeah.
do that. Because that is... Yeah, that's just the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. That's just stupid, because that bullet's not going to reach the craft. One, they're already too fast. Two, they're probably too high. And you're going to end up hitting something else somewhere else.
I'm going to tell you a bit of a experience that I had, right?
Okay.
And I don't know what the hell this thing was, right? Well, I live on a close, so it's like a dead end, right? You've been there. And there was a man in black who... I'm not saying he was the man in black, no. I'm saying there was a man in all black in the middle of our street. And me and Mum noticed him through the window.
Okay.
He then took off to the right, and we would have seen him going off the street. He didn't go off the street, he walked towards the factory. You know, there's that big, massive metal fence?
Right.
Well, we were curious what the hell was going on, so we opened the door, and he was gone.
Oh, see, what you guys got there was a stalker.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it just disappeared. There's nowhere he could have gone.
Interesting.
It's just a metal factory right next to it. There's no way inside because of the big metal bars. There's no way to go in there, but he had just vanished.
Hmm.
Because you know what it's like at the end of my street, where it's
Yeah.
like it
And
turns, doesn't it?
You guys,
There's nowhere for him to
you
go.
guys didn't report it, huh?
No,
Yeah.
just wondering what the frick it were, but you know, we can get into ghosts and all that kind of stuff. But this place used to be an old
Right.
fire station and a prison that I live on. You know, you
that
never
is the
know.
primary purpose to this podcast, right? Is again, like, I know I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. A lot of us are out there in the world, but I want to normalize people speaking up about this stuff.
Mm.
And that's the primary purpose of this podcast, is to speak up and share your stories, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of developing a Discord for this channel now. I'm probably gonna have this thing set up by the end of the week or this weekend,
Yeah.
and I'll have a tag to the Discord. If anyone out there has any stories, but you're too afraid to speak up, you can message me on Discord. I'll also give my email. I'm gonna make an email for this for this podcast as well. You can email me your stories, and they will be kept in confidence. I will be more than happy to share your story and keep your name anonymous. You know, that way we can at least still get the story out there and not have you be under threat or scrutiny of being taken by the government or whoever else.
Right.
So, and that's what this podcast is about getting those stories out there, talking about this stuff. I mean, this is our first podcast for this channel, so this is more of a broad overview of aliens themselves. But yeah, what I want to develop this podcast into is to get into, you know, talking to people and having people share their stories. And, you know, if you want it public, you can put it in the chat, you know, and people can read it throughout the chat. But if you want it in discretion and you're just, like, scared about sharing it, you can email me. I'm not going to share your name. I'm not going to, you know, unless you want me to, but I'm not about putting people out there who don't want to be out there, but I do want to share your stories.
Exactly.
I can keep your name anonymous so people don't know who you are. But yeah, I mean, this goes for anything too. It doesn't just have to be about aliens. It could be about anything. That's just the phenomenon of paranormal or what have you.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Because there's all kinds of things we don't know about the universe. Obviously, we don't know everything that's out there.
Right.
And sometimes people think they see things that just and can't be explained.
Right. So we'll segue into the talking about the universe here. So as far as the universe goes, I mean, like we know our system, our solar system, right?
Yeah.
We know quite a good deal about all that, but we don't know everything even about that yet. You know, we've sent satellites out to, you know, nearly every planet, every moon out here that we know about. We've gotten past the asteroid belt. But beyond that, we really don't know except for pictures from the Hubble and what we speculate.
Right.
Um,
But then, we found bacteria on Mars.
right. I mean, we
Which
found bacteria on the moon.
It is an organism. Bacteria. It's a living organism.
Right.
Well, goodness knows what's out there. We may not think it's suitable for life, but if a microorganism can live out there, why couldn't a species, why couldn't a race also do the same? We don't know. We think we know all the conscripts to life, like, oh, you need water and oxygen and all that. What if there's things out there that can survive without it?
Well, there's a theory going around that life actually began on Mars, and
Exactly.
from another alien race that put people there, and I forgot what they said, and I'd have to look up the whole theory, but essentially they moved us to Earth, and over time the surface of Mars and the atmosphere just dissipated, and to where it turned into what it is now. And it's funny because now we're trying to go back to Mars.
And people say you can see pyramids on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
In the sand.
Yeah. Supposedly there's pyramids on Mars too, which is crazy. It's wild. You know, we
if
have
I'm not
we have them
mistaken-
all around the world here, and they have them like what is the significant with pyramids, right? And I think that could be a whole different podcast in itself, is the pyramids and the theories behind them.
All these places go so high, so these pyramids are huge, right?
Right.
And you've got the Aztec towers; they were huge as well. Like, you think about all these giant, large structures all these civilizations are making. Why were they making them so high up, so grand? Where were they getting the blueprints to do so? Like, if you're thinking about how primitive we would have been, how did we create stuff like that?
All right.
How was we able to build the pyramid with our current technology at that time? And get these bricks to be so perfect?
Yeah. See, there are thousands of pyramids around the world. I mean, that could be a whole topic that we can go over, later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the vastness of our universe right now. Like I was saying earlier in the podcast, towards the beginning, if you were to pick up a grain of sand on the beach, that's the observable universe that we've seen
Right, exactly.
out of the entire beach.
We've barely even uttered a ripple. Not even.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen thousands upon thousands of galaxies in just that little one grain.
Yeah.
It's just, to say that we're not alone or that we are alone here is just, it's foolish. It's absolutely foolish.
Yeah, we can't be the only place for the whole entire universe to have been able to produce intelligent life like us.
Right. Now, as far as
Not
getting here to
unbelievable.
Earth, who knows? I mean, there's definitely something.
I mean, we could have
Paranormal
arrived on an
or-
asteroid. Our organisms could have came to this planet from impacts of asteroids, and that's how we ended up evolving from.
Well, I mean, through
We
theory
came from
of
another
evolution,
planet.
yes. I mean, it could have been aliens. The whole Adam and Eve story from the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna read the comment here. I mean, going back to the Loch Ness monster, who to say it isn't real? it could be some sort of ancient dinosaur or sea creature, perhaps was dormant or hibernating for years. I mean, anything is possible, even things that you think is completely absurd or far-fetched. Exactly. I mean,
Exactly.
look, what we understand of the scientific theory and physics, I mean, that could all just get thrown out the window should some other being come here and we discover this. And it could literally shake the fabric of what we know.
I mean, we don't know what's at the deepest depths of our ocean.
Right, yeah.
It could be anything down there. And krakens have been like something talked about for
maybe
hundreds of years, thousands of years.
maybe
creatures.
DC Comics got it right. Atlantis is down there with Aquaman.
There's sea creatures out there that we couldn't dream of. I mean, think about all these different tribes and their gods, like the fish that swim in the ocean that are said to be massive. They talk about ancient spiders that were huge, like the size of a small dog, for example.
Yeah, right.
They have many stories about many fish gods and things like nature that are said to be these giant creatures, and you shouldn't want to accidentally fish out the water.
For Karen B, I do have an episode that's going to be getting planned out as far as creatures of the earth that may or may not be real, like such as Loch Ness monster, dragons, things like that.
Oh yeah.
We will be talking about that as well at a later date. But yeah, I mean, the universe is just so vast, and one thing that I was hearing about for UFOs is that the Navy and the Air Force, they use infrared, right? Well, when you look at these things through the infrared, you can see that white is cold, black is hot, right?
Right.
And all these UAVs tend to be white, which means that they're cold. They are cold as they're flying around, right? So that is completely opposite of what we have. If you were to look at our aircraft or our ships or vehicles through a scope of an IR, like that, I mean, you can flip-flop it, but when you look at those videos, it tells you what's hot, what's cold on there. And cold is white for these military ones that they're using, at least in the videos and pictures. And, all these craft are running white.
Right.
Whereas you can see our aircraft and some of them, and they're black. So that leads me to believe that these UFOs are cold.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're flying around, and a theory that's been passed around is that they warp space around them, essentially, or matter, or what have you. They warp around it, so it's almost like a bubble around them. Like a force field type thing, but it wraps it around them, and that's what allows them to go at such fast speeds. Yeah. And I know people like Elon Musk have been talking about things like that. He's spoken about things such as that and saying how it's impossible for us to even comprehend or do that. But one thing that, say, like Star Wars got right was the ion engines. Which I think that's going to be the next step for our space travel is ion engines. However, the problem with it, and the thing that Star Wars got wrong, was that ion engines are extremely slow, and then they become extremely fast. Yeah. So the thing is like you cannot take off a rocket with an ion engine. Like you couldn't, you wouldn't get enough speed. Yeah. It would have to be something that you do once you're in space. Yeah. And with the ion engine, I believe. Let me take a look. But ion engines they'll travel at very slow speeds, and eventually they pick up speed. And the problem with that, though, in space is that there's no brakes in space. Yeah. So it's just gonna keep going. Unless you have something to propel you backwards. Right, so you'd have to place another thruster in the front somehow or something like that. Yeah. I mean, harkening back to sea creatures and things, right? We have mythical creatures like, Jormungandr, the world serpent, and all this kind of stuff. So,
if we talk about gods potentially being aliens, for example, there is a planet out there, right, that's completely composed of nothing but water. It's a completely water-covered planet. There's no land. Goodness knows what could be under that water. I mean, I have a fear of, like, being in the middle of the ocean, because you never know what's underneath you. Something could be there, you know?
Right.
That's my fear. Imagine a planet that's purely water, that's never needed land animals. What kind of creatures they could look like, their appearances. What if some of them possibly came to our planet and live in our oceans? We do not know.
So, do you think that these things are living here on Earth more so than like they've always been here, or do you think they're actually visiting from somewhere else?
There could be aliens that are visiting from somewhere else, and there could have always been aliens here in our oceans.
What,
I mean,
what do you think the possibility is of like aliens finding us? Essentially, I guess. I mean, if we're having such a hard time finding other things out there, like, what do you think their chances should be or would be?
I am no mathematician. I couldn't possibly calculate that. But I'd say the chances of us being alone out here, honestly, I feel like astronomically. The chance of it not being is astronomically low.
Yeah, that's kind of how I believe it. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
I
I feel like
properly.
they have to live here. They have to,
Yeah,
if that's the case, you know.
yeah,
Whether it be the lizard people or some grays or whatever, but you know, they gotta live there, and
right.
or come from somewhere close by, you know. The closest like system to us is still light years away.
Right. So the speed they have to be able to reach to even comprehend getting to us, we're not replicating that. That's so compared to what we have now. What, say the Black Bill is around 2,200 miles per hour, could go faster. These things could be light speed, like.
Right. And as far as wormholes and black holes being wormholes, I think that's been pretty much debunked at this point.
Yeah.
They were saying how
It could
Neil
lead to
deGrasse
another
Tyson
place in
there,
the universe.
he was saying that you know, black holes remember everything that it consumes. It remembers everything. And recently we found out that it spits matter back out.
Right.
Which, but it's not matter coming from nowhere. It's matter that's already been absorbed into it. And it's essentially, think of a black hole like a stomach, you know? And it eats and eats and eats and eats and then it just regurgitates. That's what it does.
Yeah. I mean, seeing what Karen's put here, energy is a powerful thing. I'm not just talking about electricity, like, that we plug into, but like telekinesis. What about spirits, psychics, or people who say they were whatever or whoever in a past life? Those that say they experienced something with a near-death experience, we have to keep our minds open to possibilities.
Yeah.
And that is also a thing, because there are some children that claim to have lived with a different family once. The Indians, some of them with some religions believe in reincarnation. There was a woman in Egypt who supposedly knew stuff from her past and was able to bring up a whole entire ruin.
Right. Absolutely.
Telling them exactly where to dig, like she had been there at that time. There's no possible way she could have possibly knew that information. So, who knows what's out there? Another dimension, perhaps? Somewhere we go after we die, and then we decided whether we get popped back out somewhere or what.
That's
like,
another show I wanted to go over later date. It's going to be other dimensions, because you know there's theories that you know when you sleep, you're actually seeing another dimension of yourself.
Right. All those dreams and such of you doing things.
And I mean that goes all the way back to like Native American stories, and you know, religious stories and things of that, and just different explanations to it. But that'll be a future topic here. I mean, the amount of topics we have are going to be endless. But yeah, because there's so much unknown. There's so much.
Right.
And yeah, I just want to. We gotta stay back on track with the aliens here, and
so we gotta get back to it.
I mean,
why is it when the government finally started to release UFO reports and stuff to us, we didn't get the more up-to-date stuff?
Right.
Like with my UK government website, by the government themselves, I have reports up to 2009 and before, but nothing after that on their website. Where are the events after 2009? Because you can't be telling me that for, like, how many years now? 14 years, there's not been a single UFO reported sighting. 14 whole years, when they're happening all over the globe.
Mean, the map that you sent me there, it literally showed, what was it, 2020. There was a UFO report over London.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well,
so, I mean,
the government released their report, though. They've got the website.
Yeah, so, again, it goes back to they're hiding stuff on us. They don't want us to know the truth.
Yep.
Even though, the populace is not stupid. We know.
Yeah.
Call it aliens, call it something that's already been living here.
There's something else.
There's something else out there. Another being. Something of intelligence.
I mean, it was supposedly on the 8th of January 2009 in Blackpool, of all places, where I am. A green light with a white light on the outer rim flew over the hills and disappeared once it passed the motorway. There's so many reports on different dates, what people said they saw, different locations, but nothing after 2009 on the government website. Yeah, there's all those extra sightings and there's no information on them.
I mean, look,
what are they choosing not to release to us? The rest of it?
I've seen things myself as far as up in the night sky, Like, I've seen weird-looking lights and formations, but, I mean, I couldn't tell if it was, like, planes or satellites or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not going to say they're aliens. I just, that's not where my mind first goes to. I'm not... Do I believe in some conspiracies? Yeah, but I'm not like a... I try to debunk before I jump to conclusion. Like, some people will be like, oh yeah, that's aliens. It's aliens. I know 100%. And I'm like, well, no, it could be something else.
Yeah.
Maybe it was aliens I saw, but I definitely think it's something like planes or satellites first before I jump to that conclusion. I mean, unless this thing is like right up in my face kind of thing, like it's landing, it's hovering above us. I don't think, it's aliens. But I do believe in aliens. I just don't believe I find it hard to believe that they've traveled all this way to be here. I think they've already been here or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that makes it more realistic.
In the planet in some way.
Right.
And they have to have a place close by, and supposedly it's on the opposite side of the moon. There's supposedly some alien bases on the dark side of the moon. Supposedly, there are structures inside of the moon's surface. For all we know, aliens could be there watching us this whole entire time.
I mean, yeah.
Here's
another theory: is maybe we're the aliens.
Maybe.
We could be the aliens to something that's already been living here.
Exactly.
And I want to go into a topic later on down the road about, they call it what you want, but the most popular term I've heard is mole people.
Yeah.
The people that live underground. And you get reports from these miners that have seen these things, you go into these ghost mines, and there's creatures supposedly living in some of them. Maybe these are the aliens that have always been here, and we're just the invaders on this planet.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, We are kind of like a parasites of the earth in a way. Like, we have tons of tiny little organisms living on our skin, eating things off our skin at all times, right?
Right.
I doubt they can see into the big world like we can and see all this stuff that we perceive.
Oh, yeah,
Surely
absolutely not. No.
So, how do we know we're not part of an organism ourselves?
Well, I mean,
Like,
theoretic,
the Earth.
theoretically, according to the logic of science, which this makes no sense at all either, is that
Yeah.
atoms don't touch each other. Or electrons, or whatever it was, atoms, electrons, something like that. They don't touch each other, supposedly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're made up of.
Right.
Cells, essentially. They don't touch each other. So, essentially, we shouldn't be physical.
Right. And the possibility of that. It's
The thing is that
kinda-
these things are so close to each other, not touching, that it makes physical bond.
Right. And that's a phenomenon that we're going to struggle to try and decipher and figure out why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no
Because-
scientist, so I don't know all the
No.
reasoning behind this, but, I mean, I'm sure there's a Wikipedia page somewhere for that.
Possibly.
Whenever the government throws us a bone on something, it's almost always a distraction for us from something else. Yeah, I
Right.
agree. They know that we know
Agreed.
people have seen things, so they throw us a small bone to shut us up and send us sniffing away from what they're doing in the other direction. Yeah, again, we're not going to get into the whole politics of this. We're not going to get into the
Yeah.
whole politics of this. But, yeah, I definitely think they do that to distract us. But, I mean, it's something that we should be looking at anyways, though. Regardless if they're trying to throw us a small bone,
Yeah.
I could go back from, if we wanted to go into some politics, Barack Obama said that he was going to have the most transparent government. We found out that wasn't true because we didn't learn nothing about aliens. We didn't learn nothing
Yeah.
about, what the country was keeping from us. But that's the extent of politics I'll go into for that. We're not going to discuss any more towards that.
No.
But yeah, we learned nothing though. I mean, even what the government probably knows is still so minuscule on the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we need to be investing more into space and learning about what's out there and, like you said, even our own oceans.
Yeah, definitely. Discover what's
Yeah.
beneath us.
Just don't use
It could lead to anything.
don't use a Logitech controller.
Yeah. But yeah, we really need to start learning more. So focus on each other. Let's work on mapping our own planet, map on the surrounding area, and do it cohesively together.
Yes. Yeah.
So, because we don't know what's beneath us, what's down in the depths. There could be all kinds of creatures with possible abilities, genetics, that we may not even be able to fathom until we discover them.
Yeah, I think on our next podcast, that's what we should go over. Is
Yeah.
what's in our oceans?
Right.
So we'll go over that on the next podcast. Is what's in the oceans. I think we're gonna end this podcast an hour early.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. We got about 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll end this a little early. But yeah, next podcast we'll go over what's in our oceans and what we know and don't know.
Right.
How far have we gone down? What have we seen? What have we mapped out? I'll be better prepared next time for the next podcast. I'm gonna have maps and or try and attempt to find some maps and some more research into this, and we'll break this up into some better segments.
Yeah.
Again, this is our first one, so it's a learning experience. But But I appreciate Karen B31 here for coming into our chat.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank for being with us. We hope other people will find this video later on YouTube and on Twitch here, and will rewatch the show. I can't even talk right now. I said show. Come watch the show.
Yeah. Welcome Zero somehow.
Caught the end of it. All right. Well, I'm going to be posting the show on Twitch and on YouTube. YouTube will have clips of the show. I'm still working out the details for YouTube. Discord, I'll be making a Discord by this weekend, so by next show there will be a Discord that you can come in and talk on there as well. YouTube, I had to wait 24 hours because they wouldn't let me stream on there. I had to verify stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for this next topic here. I think the oceans is a very mysterious place. Lots of weird things down there. Especially the further down you get.
And some of the sights of some of these creatures are horrifying. They're scary.
Yeah, like you got the anglerfish, all the different types of sharks. Giant squids.
Giant squids, yeah, like goodness knows what other giant creatures could be hiding down there. Perhaps there is still a dinosaur amongst this planet. Or at the bottom of the oceans.
Or a lake.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
For all we know, that lake could have an underground section that you can swim through. And it can make it out into the ocean. We don't know.
Alright.
Goes back to, so many things we could talk about.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody who participated.
Definitely.
You coming in, Zero Sim Heart, Karen B31. Thank you guys for coming in.
Again,
Zero, if you want to watch the rest of the stream, it will be on Twitch right now, and I will hopefully get this thing on YouTube here shortly.
Yeah.
I just got to figure out OBS and the rest of Twitch and everything. I'm learning all this all over again. I used to have a channel way back for gaming, and now I'm doing this for the podcast, so I got to relearn all this streaming stuff and how to save my recordings.
Yeah.
But, we'll go ahead and cut the podcast off here, and next podcast, I'm going to try and do this on Wednesday next week. Wednesday's my next day off.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, Wednesday next week, 5 p.m.
Let me see.
Next week, not this Wednesday, not tomorrow. Next Wednesday. Yeah.
Right.
So, if you guys want to tune in then, 5 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's 9, 10 p.m. something like that in the UK.
Possibly. The only problem is I might have a D&D game on Wednesday.
Okay, if not, no worries. You come in whenever you come in.
Yeah.
But I will be here 5 p.m. on Wednesday next week, chatting about the deep, the ocean, the unknowns.
Yeah.
Zero, if you want to come in and help out, absolutely. But yeah. Alright, I appreciate everybody for being here, and go ahead and cut it here. Thank you guys for participating.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's been great having a conversation with you. Look forward to having more in the future.
Alright, this has been the first Phenomenormal podcast.